Hello, and welcome to the Thyroid Warrior podcast. I'm Ebony, and I'm here as your wellness facilitator. I'm going to be sharing my experiences in managing Hashimoto's disease. I really hope that it'll help you on your personal journey. Keep in mind, however, this does not substitute for medical advice. It is only for your information and motivational purposes only. Now, let's get started. Hey friends, I am back. So for those of you that were a little squeamish at the thought of talking about all things GI, I got that done with. That was last week's episode. Thank you guys for always sticking with me through my weird stories and fun facts. But we are going to dive in today and talk about the steps that I took in order to really start the process of healing my gut. Now, my family, hands down, is amazing. And the reason why they are is because they started to notice that I couldn't have a lot of things, bread being one of them. So in order to make me feel better, because my family loves bread, there are a lot of people out there that really love bread, myself included. It does not love me back, however. So they literally stopped eating bread and all of the things that would kind of upset my stomach. And the funny thing is that as a result of doing that one thing and taking the carbs out of their diet in the forms of bread and pastas and all those things, with the exception of the things that my dad didn't make himself, everyone just dropped weight. It just went like that. It was gone. And I was like, oh, well, glad I could help. But, my family really took an interest in just trying to figure out why I was in so much pain and what was going on because, my sister has endometriosis. So for her, she was just like really saddened that someone else in the family had to go through something as uncomfortable as she was going through, even though they're not related at all. And I cannot relate to her. And I have an extreme amount of sympathy and respect for the women that have to undergo having endometriosis. If I could hug you, I would. But she was just really kind and compassionate towards me having to go through gut issues, which takes me to my mom. She is a researcher, hands down. If there is something going on or if there is a new diet out there, she will get online, she will research it, she will read articles, she will buy a plethora and a boatload of books until she understands it. And that is a very common trait in my family. We are all researchers. We are all very curious. So this came in handy for me because I felt like crap and I did not do that. So one day she walks in with a little book in her hand and she's like, "So, Ebony." "Yes." "I have been reading this book about how to basically take things out of your diet and really kind of put them back in phases. Okay. So I want you to try it." Okay. So, we talked about it and talked about what exactly was this thing that I was about to start doing, because honestly, I was really open to it. And that is the GAPS diet. So essentially what it is it's based from what's called a specific carbohydrate diet. And it was created by Dr. Sydney Valentine Haas. So the basis of that was to just treat chronic inflammatory conditions of just the gut lining. So it kind of gained traction. And all of a sudden, I believe her name was Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride. She then kind of really took that protocol and just adjusted it to be person specific because she was trying to treat her patients and really work with them to figure out what was going on with them, because they had just a variety of just like neurological, intestinal issues, and it was a lot. So basically, what the GAPS diet does is it focused on taking foods out that were hard to digest and foods that can potentially damage your natural gut flora, and really add very nutrient dense foods to kind of just give your gut a chance to really heal and build itself back up. So I read this book. My mom read this book. We looked at it. I'm like, you know what? I'll give it a try. I can't eat a lot anyway, so it's not like I'm going to be missing anything. So I really did it. And I really have a taste now for bone broth. I would literally have the bone broth. That would be the only thing that I would have. And it was so wonderful. And I know you might be thinking, Ebony, is bone broth. How is that wonderful? There's nothing wonderful about that. But when your stomach isn't upset and you're not nauseous and you're not thinking, oh no, what am I going to have? What can I do? What can I eat? What can I eat? It really was just nice. And then I slowly just started introducing myself to the other things within the diet itself. And it just really, I slowly started adding those just nutrient dense foods, because it's the diet itself is broken up into 6 stages. So it takes about 3 to 6 weeks in order to get through the stages for, let's say, your quote unquote average patient. But sometimes it might take more, sometimes it might take less. It really just depends. So for me, it really was just awesome. So I went through that process of just focusing on the bone broths and really started slowly adding those nutrient-dense foods and taking the probiotics and making sure that I had all of those good fatty acids, and I was taking making sure I was getting vitamin A and taking, a papaya enzyme to help my body to digest all the foods and any vitamins and minerals that I was deficient in. I went back to the doctor and I got a full blood workup to understand what I was deficient in, because while I like experimenting, I don't like experimenting that much to really do something too drastic to myself. So I really just took that time and allow myself to heal. And it was just so amazing. Like, it was borderline euphoric because I hadn't felt that good in so long. Guys, I would literally just count the days, and I would cross it off one by one. Every day where I went without having a quote unquote episode, or I wasn't nauseous, or my stomach wasn't bloated. And it was just really nice, and it was wonderful. And ultimately over time, I started adding foods back to my diet. But bread was not something that was a good thing for me initially. I'm not gluten intolerant, but after getting the blood work back, I am gluten sensitive, which I figured, and my GI figured as well. So I do tend to stay away from bread. The weird thing though is that I can have, well, I know why, but I can have sourdough. I can have spelt bread. And if I make the bread myself, I'm okay. And I usually try to let my dough kind of sit a little bit longer so that the yeast can kind of have at it for a while. And occasionally I will put just a little bit of my probiotic in it. Don't judge me. But it really helps me. And I know many of you might say, well, when you heat it, it's going to kill all the good bacteria anyway. I'm like, well, the more I can get, the better. And I'm stalling because my eyes are watering up. Because if you have anything from Crohn's to ulcerative colitis to having that chronic gut inflammation to all of the conditions that can impact your GI system, you know how hard it can be. And once I really started to get better, I didn't want to go back to how I felt before. And I'm here to tell you, I do have days where it's hard. I do have days where it's difficult. And my menstrual cycle will cause a rush of hormones and my stomach can get upset more easily. But for the most part, when I go to work and I eat my different food and my fermented food and my kimchi and people just wrinkle up their nose, why are you eating that? Well, my gut depends on it, literally. And when you finally realize what really helps and what makes a big difference, it's hard to go back to the things that made your stomach hurt. And I'm here to really offer that support to you guys because I know how hard it is. And many of you do have those times where you're like, when will this end? When will it stop being so hard? When will it stop hurting? And first of all, I get it. While I might not understand the severity of what you're going through, I understand how depressing and how alone and how isolating this all can be. And I'm here to tell you that you're not alone and you're going to get through this. The other thing that I really want to stress is that stress can be a huge trigger for many of these things that impact your gut. And if you haven't done so already, when you have a really stressful time at work, when the kids are running around like crazy, or if your husband or boyfriend or girlfriend or whomever, they're just giving you a hard time, sometimes I just want you to take a step back and take a deep breath. Take a deep breath now, wherever you are, as long as, you're not going to put yourself in harm's way. I just want you to take a deep breath. So inhale in, exhale. That is considered your second brain, and you want to treat it well. You wouldn't take a football or basketball and throw it upside your head. So why would you do the same thing when it comes to making choices and decisions that aren't going to make your gut feel good or aren't going to support your gut? I want you to think about that. And lastly, what I want you guys to understand is sometimes it does take time to figure out what you can and can't have. And what works for me might not work for you. But what I would recommend doing, again, is just getting that food journal, writing down what you're eating, write down how you feel, what's going on in your life. Are you full? Are you not full? Are you bloated after eating? Because that might be a good indicator for you to start understanding what foods you can and can't have. And sometimes those things won't show up on an allergy test, but you have to be aware of what those things are. I used to love almonds, but almonds do not love me back anymore. And they make me bloated, they give me stomach cramps, and I can't have them. So goodbye almond flour. But if I know that that's going to keep my inflammation down, I'm going to do that. So I want to encourage you all. I want to let you know you can do this. You're going to figure it out. You just have to take it one step at a time. I'm here for you because I know that it can be hard. And when you guys have time, if you're on hanging out on Instagram, some of you have already done it. Cynthia has done it, and we've been going back and forth and saying hello. Say hi to me. I'm a real person. I like talking to people. I'll check on you and see how you're doing. I'm here for you, I promise. And with that, friends, I hope that you will take some time. If you like having bubble baths, take a bubble bath. If you don't like taking baths, take a longer shower. Just do something nice for yourself today that's going to help you relax. So with that, I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in my Thyroid Basics mini course. And also, one of the things that I wanted to mention is I'm going to start having jumpstart calls to kind of talk to you guys and help you work through some of the things that you're experiencing, and to really give you suggestions and tools and tips to really work through and work with your thyroid disease. So I'll be posting those and putting those in the show notes as well. So I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Take care.
Okay, thyroid warriors, get out there and take things one step at a time. Remember, be great, reflect on your triumphs, and as always, be well. Take care.